Kirby Smart coaches this position. So you better believe that we have thoughts on it and who the best is next.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Clint. I am Daniel, together with the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride today. We're talking about three things today. We're talking about defensive backs. Who's the most important? Clint's going to tell you that in segment 1. Who's the most overrated defensive back on this roster? I'm going to tell you that in segment 2. Probably hurt some feelings. Who's the most underrated defensive back on this roster? Clint's going to tell you that in segment 3, the guy you're sleeping on. That's the juicy nugget at the end of the episode, Clint. But at the beginning of the episode it's just
dangling out there.
Let's just dive in. It's like a participle, and we have left it out there. We're jumping in
Florida.
We are jumping into people weren't born when that happened. You know that? People were not. People did not exist yet.
I know.
When that happened. Let's jump in to the conversation today. We're talking defensive backs, Clint.
Yeah.
It's not a tremendously large position group, right? You're talking about, 3 to 4 corners probably going to make an impact on this roster. Maybe at least 2, maybe 3 safeties going to make an impact. You got a star position that you're going to have maybe a couple guys rotate in. So there's names to discuss. Yesterday, we looked at the defensive front. I mean, that's a position group that just goes on for days and days and days. Probably the area of greatest concern for a lot of Georgia fans coming into this season. We've talked about that at length. That's not the purpose of today's episode, though. Let's get into some individual names, Clint. Who do you have as the most important player in this defensive backfield for the 2026 Georgia Bulldogs?
There are 3 names that you can choose for the most important. And it's really wild because transfer portal wise, we hit 1 on the front 7, Maris Williams, and we think he's going to be a great addition and a great fit. He's a do-all outside edge guy who Kirby Smart says you can't get blocked by a tight end against the run, which he's right. Go check out that clip. It's hilarious if you haven't done so, which everybody on this podcast listening already has.
Yeah.
Linebacker, we have studs for days too. The list is long and distinguished.
It is.
Groups.
It is.
Defensive back comes in, and you've chronicled already. We've talked about ad nauseum that we start slipping a little bit, and the safety play in which we went to the portal not once, not twice, but thrice, including a guy Gentry who is a corner, but who plays a lot like
corner. Yeah,
he's a corner, so I think he's going to stay
in the box, though. He's comfortable in the box.
Yeah. Okay, so of the 3 names of the most vital and important players that you can go to, I'm going to give you 3 who you can consider: Ellis Robinson, KJ Bolden, and DeMello Jones, because they are the most proven aspects. And with a team that has question marks on the defensive back, you have to go. Your studs have to hit. You can't.
That's right.
You can't miss out. With so many question marks, your stud has to hit. And who better than likely one of the top when he goes? I don't know when he's going to go. Could be this year. Could be next. KJ Bolden will be a top 25 pick and a safety that plays in the league and is an enforcer as well as a backfield threat to pick off balls like a ball hawk. Because to me, KJ Bolden's the most important player in the secondary. And the reasons are very simple. As simple as I can make it. We don't know definitively, like, willing to put your name on and risk your left hand, that you can tell me who the starting safety opposite of him is going to be.
That's right.
Can't do it. I can't. Daniel can't. Kirby Smart might have some indication, but even Truth Sermon Injected would say, I don't know. Let's get through fall camp and see who comes out and proves it to be the case. KJ Bolden, DeMello Jones, Ellis Robinson, these guys are going to play. Like, they showed out last year.
You can't take them off the field. DeMello Jones is running people off campus. He's literally going into people's dormitories, packing their bags for them and saying, I'll be taking your spot. So the bus leaves in 10 minutes. Do you need a ride?
I have a really good agent. He can get you
a ride to the airport because you gone.
I won't take you because I'm sick of you, but I will call you an Uber. Like that's the most I can do for you.
Yeah.
Uber, by the way, reach out.
Not a sponsor, could be.
Could be. It's KJ Bolden because cornerback's important. I think Ellis Robinson's going to have a good year. I've been on record many times as saying so. But in the safety, there's nowhere to hide. The middle of the field, if the middle of the field is exposed in Kirby Smart's system, blitz heavy man coverage, and you get a safety who can't cover anything. What happened in the old Miss game? Y'all remember that kerfluffle where Trinidad Chambliss is running around forever and just floats it over like some floating
safe place. I was told
whoever told
there would be no math and we would not bring up that game.
Yeah. The middle of the field is incredibly important. KJ Bolden is an enforcer in the run game. He sets the defensive backfield. He is the senior leader on this team. Without him, you and I likely have a drastically different feel about this secondary, a drastically different feel about this defense.
Yep.
And all of a sudden we get bubble guts and more buckets are needed than ever before because of it. He's the most important. Daniel.
I said that. What was it? 2 days ago? The days all run together. He's so boring. Because he's so consistent. He's just always there. He just doesn't make bad plays. He's never out of position.
Not once.
He loves to come down in the box and hit you. Meanwhile, he can backpedal, turn his hips, and run and make a play on a ball down the field. He knows the defense. He's been in the system. He is the next great safety in a long line of Kirby Smart, just absolutely cheating the system by churning out elite safety after elite safety. And he is that guy. A lot of Georgia fans asking, because he's gone after this year. A lot of Georgia fans asking, who is the next guy? Who is that next guy that's going to be the next KJ Bolden, Malachi Starks, Richard LeCount, Christopher Smith? Who's the next guy that's going to come in and do it? But that's not a question for this year. That's not a problem for this year. We'll put that behind us. Yeah, I do think it's KJ Bolden. I think he's the most important because he offers you that consistency in a position group where you're going to have some inconsistencies around him, where you're going to have some question marks around him. It is not the strength of the defense. The strength of the defense is up front in the front seven. Clint, the front seven is as good as any front seven in football of any level.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously, the secondary is the area we have the most questions, and the area where you have the least questions in the area where you have the most questions is KJ Bolden. So, yeah, he's the most important. I think you said it well. When you're in a situation like this, your stars have to hit. Your guys have to produce, all right? The NBA playoffs come up. Anthony Edwards he's going to have to score the basketball. Like, that's just the way that the life works. KJ Bolden is going to have to produce for this Georgia secondary, and that makes him dynamically important. I think we both think he will, but whether or not he does is going to go a long way into determining Georgia's success this year. We're going to come back. I already let you know I'm going to hurt some people's feelings. I apologize to no one, and we'll get to it right after this.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. UCLA made history by winning its first NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship, dominating South Carolina 79-51. The Bruins controlled the game from start to finish with elite defense and balanced scoring, finishing the season 37-1. Star center Lauren Betts was named Most Outstanding Player, leading a team effort that capped a 31-game winning streak. Under head coach Corey Close, UCLA secured a landmark title that has been decades in the making. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, I'm coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Daniel has impeccable skills on just the ones, just the man has keys in front of him, and it's a beautiful thing. If you don't know, that's on you. I gave you the most important player for this defense in the secondary. That's KJ Bolden. I'm gonna ask Daniel now. We have a lot of unproven guys. We have a lot of guys that I think are very skilled. But who's somebody in this defense backroom that people need to lower their expectation because he's overhyped and you're going to hurt some feels? It might even be my feels that get hurt, which has never happened on the history of this podcast, by the way.
Can't hurt you.
Can't
made of stone.
You can try.
Can't. People have tried.
They have.
Some people argue I really should have done mine in the third segment because it really has a third segment preamble to it. But bear with me, second segment people. I'm getting there.
If you're here, stick for the third segment. It's the same thing. It gets even better. It's like fermented goodness.
Yeah, the dough's had time to rise.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of people think the later seasons of The Office not quite as good. I agree. After Michael leaves, things can take a turn. Season 7, episode 1, though, of The Office. Michael hires a new assistant.
What happens?
He's terrible. He refuses to fire that assistant. Why? Because it is later revealed that that assistant turns out to be Michael's nephew. The episode is called Nepotism. Clint, I would like to tell you a story about some nepotism on the Georgia football roster.
He warned us. I wasn't prepared.
If you weren't prepared, it's on you.
It's on me. No, I fully understand.
I said, we are coming across the bow here. Like, just get yourself ready. The nepotism that I'd like to speak of has the name Branch. Listen, we know why Zion Branch is on this roster, friends. It's not because Zion Branch is the best football player on campus. It's not because he plays to the standard of a Georgia football safety. Now, I'm not saying Zion Branch is bad. We wanted him more last year because we were not happy with the play of the safety last year. Guess what we did not see very much last year? Zion Branch, even in the game, we saw him in the game a bit. Guess what we did not see when he was in the game? Him making a meaningful difference in this defense. Georgia went over in the portal last year when it came to safeties, right? They went to UAB, brought in a highly touted guy, bust. They went to USC, brought in a highly thought of guy in Zion Branch. Kind of a bust.
Kind of.
If you're waiting for Zion Branch to turn around, the reason Zion Branch has a Georgia G on his chest is because of his brother. I'm not trying to just dog on the kid. I'm not breaking any news when I say that. I'm just saying the truth out loud. Yep. That's why he was offered a scholarship to come to Georgia. Like, I understand he provides good competition and he can contribute on special teams, and that's fine. But if you are thinking that Zion Branch is going to have something to say about that second safety spot this year, I am here to tell you I very much disagree with that assessment. We know Riddle has been injured, the transfer coming out of ETSU or wherever. And that's a shame because he was really dynamic, albeit at a lower level. We'll see how quickly he's able to bounce back from that. We know that Khalil Barnes comes over from Clemson. He's a very talented, highly thought of guy. There are other guys on the roster as well who we might see contribute. A guy like Kyron Jones, I think, has a much better chance to contribute at that other safety spot than does Zion Branch. I would put several other people, slot them ahead of him in terms of the likelihood of seeing them play meaningful snaps. I think it's going to be Barnes. I think it could be a guy like Kyron Jones. But Clint, I think Zion Branch is just, if you're expecting him to contribute on this year's defense, I think he's overrated because I do not see a meaningful contribution out of him.
We went into the portal. You've talked about this quite often, and it bears repeating that Georgia went into the portal, missed on a couple of guys, tried to go ahead and get some reprieve, some production at all. And truth be told, it just was never there in the safety. We had a couple of guys that are who they were.
Yeah.
And they were fine enough. They were good enough, but it was not what we were expecting, nor what we needed and wanted out of the secondary, specifically out of the safety. We had some other guys. Stick around for the third segment. Let you know who I think is going to be all world that you're not thinking about. But we didn't have that impact guy. Now, outside of the portal, in what we would call recruiting now, and people say recruiting,
Traditional high school recruiting.
We had a couple of guys that were very, very young, very unproven, that we needed depth all up and down the defensive backfield and at safety position, and that we needed them to show, and we couldn't rely on younger guys. However, at safety, with a couple of people that we've seen come through in the recruiting cycle, I actually want to say that I think we're going to see freshman and sophomore be able to get a leg up on Branch. When you say he's not going to have the impact people think, I think he's going to get passed on the depth chart in a big way.
Like Jalen Morgan out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I think that's a name of a guy that will be getting looks ahead of a senior in Zion Branch. And again, nothing against the kid. It just, we understand how the sausage is made. Yep. We know why he's on campus. He's on campus because Georgia's most dynamic wide receiver since Jorge Pickens played for Georgia last year. Like that's why he was here. I do not see him contributing at the
Jonte Gilbert. I think has a chance to do something for us. I think even freshmen are going to see the Jordan Smith. I think of Warner Robins is going to have a say. Again, Kirby is not shy of starting freshmen, starting younger guys who can prove themselves. Malachi starts, KJ Bolden, true freshman starting, and talent-wise, when they were playing, not KJ Bolden because Malachi was there, but talent-wise, we're one of the best defensive guys. KJ Bolden is talent-wise the second best defensive player that we have, in my humble opinion. I think the other safety, we have a number of guys that are, and I don't, again, Dan Jackson, is a damn good dog who made an NFL career out of playing excellent safety.
Yeah.
I think the depth of some of these guys, we're looking at development. They're older guys, they're seniors, they're juniors. I think if you're looking at impact talent, Dan Jackson was a stellar stalwart who plays football well. Impact, that was Malachi Starks. So that's KJ Bolt. These are the guys who just hop onto the scene. They can't help but get on the field. The rest of the guys that we have transfer portal are who one of them has to hit, right? Like,
yeah, that's what we said last year.
And if they don't, I think there's a number of freshmen. It was so sad. We have a number of freshmen who I think will pass Branch on the depth chart. I'm going to come back after this. I'm going to let you know the name of the guy who you do not think is going to perform well in this secondary, but is going to actually exceed your expectations. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Indeed. Daniel's Indeed's fantastic because workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, pressure's on. You need a great hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, not just helping the right candidate stumbles across your post. That's awful. That's pathetic. That's horrible. That's like saying to yourself, we have a good system and we'll just take anybody and plug them in and it's going to be fine. That's just, it's the wrong way of looking at it. You need to target talent. Let me give you an example. In the minute you've been talking about this, companies like yours have made 27 hires around Indeed, according to Indeed data. worldwide. If you're hiring, spend less time searching and more with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listening to the show, get $75. Who doesn't need $75 to get a job posting that you deserve? Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about us on Indeed on the podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs, but that's not all, Daniel. We also have our fine friends over at Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. Buy, sell positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Events contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Clint said he's going to take you to a DB that is underrated, vastly overlooked and underrated on this roster. Man, I would kill for Dan Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
You brought him up and I just thought to myself, yep, I would plug him right in. And
do you know if we had Dan Jackson on this team, on this defense, if Dan Jackson took the only question mark besides the third corner that we have, you and I will be making fools of ourselves talking about how this could repeat 21 defense.
Yeah.
Like, we would look, and we wouldn't be far off wrong. If Rydell, if any of the safeties hit, if any of the transfers, Barnes, Conley, just one of them has something like Dan. Got it, baby.
All right, most underrated, Clint. Where are we going?
There are two names that I go to. One is only underrated because I think he's slipped so much, and there are two big questions on this defense: the second safety and the third corner. I'm tempted to take Gentry and say Gentry Williams is the most underrated transfer guy. Plays corner, often injured. When he came out of high school, went to Oklahoma, he was looked at as a first or second round draft pick on that upside swing. He's insanely physical. We talked about him possibly having a star-like position, or at least boundary where he's not afraid to come up in the run game. Talked about that quite a lot. I think I'm tempted to take him, but I can't take him because there's not a lot. He's a transfer, so he's unknown. He doesn't have to be our best starting corner. We already have two of those. We're fine on the start. He has to be depth, and I think if you're looking at depth to be underrated, he would have to take over a starting role at some point. I don't see him doing that. I think Jamila Jones is going to keep that down. I think Ellis Robinson is going to keep that down. So I don't think that's the case. I'm going to go to a guy who I just remember so vividly, because I think this second year for him is going to be a monumental step and is going to be at a position. Notice how we brought in a couple of safeties in the transfer.
I did notice that.
Has there been any talk about them playing possibly the star position, Daniel?
You know, the star position is not a position we hear get mentioned a lot at all.
I haven't heard it get mentioned. We had
our starting star. He left the program. That's so I did hear that mentioned.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry, if I may. Someone left the program.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Okay. It wasn't because he had a better option. He had an option.
Okay.
It may have been a dwindling option for him because
you're saying Jamila Jones maybe isn't the only one packing people's bags, is what you're trying to say.
Rashawn Deakins is a menace in this secondary. Early on in the season, Rashawn Deakins comes in. Doesn't have it, gets literally turned around, lost, and completely out of didn't know where he was on the football field early in the season.
No, there was a hole in the ground nearby, and he was unclear what exactly it was, if you understand my meaning.
I do. And everyone was jumping on Kirby. How look at how pathetic this is. You're losing it. These guys aren't coached. They're talented. Yeah. And Kirby said very calmly and very directly, I'd rather him learn this now, early on in the season in the fourth quarter in a shutout game, than in a playoff game later on down the road. The SEC championship. And wouldn't you know,
lo and behold, Kirby Smart, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. Kirby Smart just happened to get something right.
Well, if only he should aspire to be Ryan Day sometimes. That would be great if we could get to that level of coaching from Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart says, hold on, shut up. He's going to be just fine. I need to get him in to get him game experience. Dinkins goes on to be a stalwart in the secondary, somebody who's running guys out of, and I think the big three that we have, KJ Bolden in our corners, who I'm super thrilled with, I think by the end of the year, we're going to be talking about the star position no longer being a source where, again, a couple of years, Malachi Starks had to come on down and play out of position because we were so frustrated with the star play. Guys last year missing us, having to shuffle in and out all the time. I think this year, Dinkins says, this is my position. I know how to do both. I know how to play on the edge on a tight end. I know how to come up and run support. I'm not scared of anybody. And he was, again, ladies and gentlemen, this young man was a freaking freshman last year, running guys out of the facility as a freshman coming on late in the season. And I think the step up, just like Ellis Robinson, I saw progress so much in his first year fully starting. I think that type of jump is going to be Dinkins this year. Everybody talking about him, but I honestly don't think we're talking about him enough. He's going to make us relive the Smith brother days in the secondary. He's going to remind us what that was like.
Did John and Michael play in the Georgia secondary? Is that
John and Michael Smith would have given their soul to play together.
We're talking about?
They literally, John and Michael Smith would have literally given up every dollar they currently have if they could have played 1 year together in this Georgia secondary.
That's right. And one of them has a lot of them.
And
one of them, that's a significant amount of dollars. You can't hide money, Clint. You can't hide money. You understand? It comes.
You and I have no problem hiding our money. When you don't have a lot of it, it easily stashes.
No, yeah, you can tuck it away in a lot of spots. All right, if you got a good amount of it, you can't hide that.
You can't.
Listen, if you're still here now, 28 minutes into the show, and you understand what we're talking about when we talk about Michael Smith, the Sherpa of this podcast, send us an email, lockdownbulldogs@gmail.com. We love to chat, love to interact with you. It's the off season, so if you've got content ideas, if you've got things that you want to hear us talk about, if you just want to say hello, if you want to give us an update on your plans for the upcoming football season, if you want to tell us who you've got in the Masters, which is beginning tomorrow, and you want to make a little side wager on the Masters, send us an email, lockdownbulldogs@gmail.com. Would love to interact with you. He's Clint. I am Daniel. We'll be back each and every day here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, and we'll see you then.
See you.